Okay, so we're rolling now?
Yep, you're rolling.
Okay. Hello and welcome to the campus of Brownsburg High School in Brownsburg, Indiana for today's junior varsity football game between your Avon Orioles and the host Brownsburg Bulldogs. This is one of the great rivalries here in central Indiana. These two teams, the only two 6A teams here in Hendricks County, both members of the Hoosier Crossroads Conference, the second toughest conference in the state. Last night the varsity teams played with Avon getting a big win, and tonight we're going to get a look at the future of the programs. So there we have a kickoff by Avon. It's fielded by Brownsburg at about the 10, brought up to the 15, 20. Now he takes it over to the middle. He's got a hold, 25, 30, still on his feet. Gets up, and he fumbles. I'm not sure if he's down first, but Avon picks it up, and they're going to take it all the way for the touchdown if it counts, which apparently it will. Yes, that's so the Orioles score a mere 15 seconds into this game on a fumble on a kickoff return. So picking up where the varsity team left off last night, going into the game last night, Avon was ranked number 8th in the state in Class 6A, Brownsburg 15th. Both teams perennially ranked, and now without their offense having taken the field, Avon about to go for an extra point. And, yeah, they are going for two, as is far more common in high school ball than at higher levels, especially the NFL, where it's relatively rare. So the quarterback in shotgun with one receiver at each side. And he fakes the handoff, keeps it himself, but he is brought down short of the goal line. So still a 6-0 lead, 15 seconds into this game for the Avon Orioles. That was Riley Browder, by the way, a 5'9", 145-pound freshman who had that fumble return for the touchdown there on the kickoff. Well, this is my 6th season of commentary, counting varsity, JV, and freshman. It's been somewhere in the neighborhood of 70, so probably between 70 and 75 games, and I believe that is the fastest I have ever seen anybody score. And, in fact, I don't ever recall, I've been watching football 39 years, I don't ever recall seeing anybody ever score a touchdown on a fumble recovery on a kickoff. That very well might be a first, not just in my commentary career, but in my entire football watching career. So now Mason Miller, also a quarterback, is set to kick off once again. It's not often that you have a kicker kicking off twice in the first 15 seconds of the game, but that is the case here. And this one goes, and it bounces around the 10 and goes into the end zone for a touchback. So now we will get our first look of the game at the Brownsburg offense. Brownsburg is in its second season. Brownsburg is in its second season under head coach John Hart, who last season guided the Bulldogs to an 8-1 regular season record, but first-round playoff exit. Brownsburg plays one of arguably the toughest sectional in the state, actually, along with Avon, Ben Davis, and Pike. So now two receivers to the right, one to the left, one running back. Handoff there, and he fumbles again. And Avon, Avon, I believe, has it again. It bounced around between several players. Oh, wow, 2 fumbles in the first 35 seconds of the game for Brownsburg. That is not a good way to start off. The Bulldogs did recover it. Yeah. So 9:11 to go here in the first quarter at Brownsburg, this beautiful stadium, one of the best high school stadiums here in the state of Indiana. Capacity, if I remember correctly, for 7,000 people. And now a handoff there, and he's got a hole up the middle, and he breaks through for the first down. That, I believe, was number 28, Devin Jones. He is a 5'10", 185-pound junior, and like a lot of the JV players for these 6A schools, he's a guy who would be probably varsity for 80-90% of the teams in the state or more. And now he's got another a hole up here, and he's got another first down. That was Jones once again. So Jones now's first down on each of the last two plays. So Brownsburg showing they weren't fazed by their rough start with fumbles on their first two plays, one of which resulted in an Avon touchdown. So 1st and 10 at their own 46. Now Jones gets it again. This time he's got some room on the left side. He's got a first down, and he's up. He's got a clear path on the left side of the field down to the 25, out of bounds at the 23. But there is a flag, so let's see if it's coming back. Well, I'll tell you, this game was getting set up for this game was an adventure. We didn't get into the press box until about 10 minutes ago. So, and yes, this is coming back. So, boy, I'll tell you, last night I commentated the varsity game between Cloverdale and Cascade, and I think that was the most penalty-riddled game I have ever seen, especially the second half. And you know, Cascade did fortunately win the game 27-0. But, yeah, and it's holding against the Bulldogs. Cascade won 27-0, but, man, the penalties is something that they're going to have to watch out for. And the penalties are about equally divided between the two teams. So 1st and 10 now for 1st and 21 now for the Bulldogs at the 35. Takes the snap, screen pass to the left, completed. Now he cuts over to the middle and over to the right side of the field, and he picks up several yards there, but is going to be well short of the first down. That was Christian Roberts there on the reception. He's a 6'3", 175-pound junior. 6'3", 170 is a pretty optimal size for a wide receiver. So now two receivers to the right, one to the left. Quarterback in shotgun. Now pitch back there, and the running backs got it for about 5 yards. That was a pitch to Shai Sumpter Bay. That's first name Shai, S-H-A-I, then last name Sumpter, S-U-M-P-T-E-R hyphen Bay, B-E-Y. And there's a Savante Sumpter Bay here for Brownsburg as well, who's a senior. 7:29 to go here in the first quarter. Avon 6, Brownsburg 0. Takes a snap. Now is running out of room, and he throws over to, and it's out of bounds. It was nearly intercepted. Although I think had it been caught, it would have been out of bounds anyway. I don't think the player would have gotten a foot down in bounds. So 4th and 7 now. Brownsburg at their own 47. Looks like they will punt. 7:13 to go. Avon leading 6-0. The opening kickoff was returned by Brownsburg, then fumbled and returned by Avon for a touchdown. The 2-point conversion failed. I know they're going to fake it. They direct snap it to a player who dropped back to pass, and he got hammered by two Orioles. Nice stop there by Ross England and Connor Barnes of Avon. So the Orioles take over an excellent field position, and now finally we get our first look of the game at the Avon offense. I have to think that it's a great feeling when your offense takes the field for the first time in the game, and the team already has the lead. It certainly takes a lot of pressure off them. So now they line up with Peyton Garrett, wide receiver, to the left, and then let's see, looks like Cameron hold that thought. And then Riley Browder, who scored the touchdown, to the left. And now we've got a rush there by Jarrett Stephen, who's did a lot of outstanding work last year on the freshman team. Now he's picking up where he left off. He would already be a varsity player, probably a varsity star for a lot of teams, but Avon being so deep, he's still JV. Should be a big-time college prospect in a couple of years. So now, once again, we've got Tyrone Griffin lining up to the left. Reese Thomas to the left, also a very good basketball player. And sorry, looking at the wrong roster there. And now rush up the middle once again by Stephen. That's not Stevens, but Stephen with a PH. 6:26 to go here in the first quarter now at Brownsburg. Six nothing Avon lead. Junior varsity action. So now lining up with four wide receivers. Stephen, the lone running back. Mason Miller is the quarterback. Also started on the freshman team last year. Up to Stephen. He's got about 5 up the middle. It's going to bring up about 2nd and 5, maybe 2nd and 4. $5:49 to go here in the first quarter now at Avon. The Orioles scored on the first play of the game. Kicked off to Brownsburg, who fumbled. Avon recovered. Riley Browder recovered for Avon. Took it in all the way for the touchdown. Two receivers to the left, one to the right. Stephen, the running back. Stephen gets it again. It runs over to his right, and he gets up for about 3 yards. It's going to be 3rd and short. This is Avon's first possession of the game. Nearly halfway through this first quarter here at Brownsburg. CF Rourke Stadium, I believe, only in its 6th season of existence. So now, two receivers to the right, one to the left. Stephen, the running back. Miller gives it to Stephen, and he fumbles, and he gets his own fumble, but it's for a loss, and that'll bring up 4th and about 7 or so. I'll tell you, last night in the Cascade game, after a missed field goal with about 30 seconds left in the first half, Cascade already had a 14-0 lead. They took over at their own 20, and the quarterback did a handoff that was fumbled and recovered by Cloverdale, who, fortunately for Cascade, fumbled on the first play of the ensuing possession, and Cascade recovered, and this time wisely knelt out the clock. But, man, that fundamental lapse by the Cadets could have been fatal. Fortunately, it wasn't. So now pass over to the right side, completed, but short of the first down by a couple of yards. That was Cohen Morrell on the reception. So Brownsburg takes over on downs. The Bulldogs have been poised. They've remained poised despite the disastrous way that the game started off. First and 10 at their own 22, 4:05 to go. Two receivers to the right, one to the left. Handoff there. And it's go up for about 2 or 3 yards. That was Shai Sumter Bay again, a junior. Coming at you from the campus of Brownsburg High School. So now two receivers to the right, one to the left. Hand off again to Sumter Bay. He goes over to the left side, breaks a tackle. Now brought down by 3 guys after a gain of about 4 or 5, bringing up a 3rd down and about 5. 3:16 to go now and counting here in the first quarter. 10:14 your time of day. So now a handoff again, and this time Sumter Bay's, he's got a hole up the middle, and he's up close to the 50. He's brought down right around the 45, a pickup of about 18, so that will move the chains for the Bulldogs. Very fast-paced game so far. I believe only one incomplete pass. So, clock stopped with 2:50 now. Okay, now I'm not sure what the delay was, but nevertheless, Brownsburg lines up again. I'll tell you, I think it's been 2 or 3 years since I commentated Brownsburg football at any level. Hold that thought. And now I hand off again to Sumter Bay. And this time, wow, he does a good job, making something out of nothing. He was almost immediately hit and then plows his way up for about 4 yards, showing a lot of toughness there. Sumter Bay listed as at 5'10", 173, not that big a guy. So now 2 receivers to the right, 1 to the left. Sumter Bay, the running back. Quarterback in shotgun. And now, but this time they were ready for Sumter Bay. They swarm him, and he's brought down for a loss of about 4. So, but I think that the Bulldogs' uniforms have been slightly modified since I last commentated them, because now they have a white trim around the numbers, which makes the numbers a lot easier to decipher. So that's very welcome. So now, with Ethan Harless at quarterback, we've got Devin Jones. He had a couple of nice gains earlier. Jones gets the ball now. He takes it up for about 7, but they're going to be short of the first down. Takes it slightly into Oriole territory. Looks like they are going to go for it on 4th and about 3. So same formation again. A little bit of movement at the line, but no flag. Harless turns to the sidelines, apparently looking for instruction. 1:05 to go in the first quarter now. Takes a snap. Gives it to Jones. Gets up through the middle for the first down and more. And he breaks through several tacklers, now up to about the 25. So that brings some life out of this crowd. Probably about the most that the crowd has been into it today here at Brownsburg. So hurry up, no huddle. And now handoff there to the Sumter Bay this time. And he takes it over to the right side, picks up about 3 or 4. So nice drive here by the Bulldogs. 33 seconds to go and counting now here in the first quarter. 10:18, your time of day. So now a handoff again to Sumter Bay. He takes, he goes up the middle, then goes over his left, gets a little room, gets up for about 3 more yards. They'll bring it up 3rd and short on what will likely be the last play of the first quarter. 9 seconds to go now. And Brownsburg, continue to let it run out. 3, 2, 1. So, after 10 minutes of play here in Brownsburg, your Avon Orioles off to a good start. They lead the cross-county and cross-conference rival Brownsburg Bulldogs by a score of 6-0 here on audiosportsonline.com. We would like to thank our sponsors who made tonight's broadcast possible: McNamara Florists, Red Cobra Wrestling, Avon Dental Center, and Reynolds Body Shop. Thank you for your support of Avon Oriole Athletics. Well, back here at Brownsburg, we're about to start the second quarter with your Avon Orioles leading 6-0. The game started off with Avon kicking off to Brownsburg, and who fumbled the kickoff return, which was picked up by Riley Browder and taken in for a touchdown. The 2-point conversion failed, and that is all the scoring we've had so far. So now, the players switch ends of the field. Last night I saw something I had never seen before in 39 years of football watching. At the beginning of one of the quarters, I think it was the beginning of the second half, the teams that lined up, from the opposite direction. Each team lined up on the opposite side of the field that it should have been lined up on, and the officials, corrected them. And I don't mean corrected in the Delbert Grady sense, but, you know what I mean. I'll tell you, I'm such a huge fan of The Shining that I always hope someday I'm going to commentate a player named Grady just so I can make a reference to that movie. So anyway, one receiver to the right, 2 to the left, and now a handoff there. Fakes the handoff to Jones. Screen pass over to the right side, and he's got inside the 5, dives at the end zone. He's down to the 1 or the 2. Who was that on the reception there? Could not tell from my vantage point. He's walking over to the sideline, so I'll be able to pick it out here in a bit. Okay, that was Sumter Bay now. So first and goal at the 2. Brownsburg on the verge of taking the lead here with a touchdown and a successful conversion. Now handoff there, but he's going to be stopped right around the line of scrimmage. I believe that was Jones again. I'll tell you, one thing that's really one thing that this game is an adjustment for me because I've been commentating Cascade this season, and they're a smaller school. They tend to play smaller schools, so it's been a while since I've commentated a game from this far up, and it's an adjustment on the ice. So now pitch over to Jones, and he's brought down at the 1. He takes it far over to the left side, and doesn't quite get over the line. So that'll be third and goal at the 1. 8:44 to go here in the first quarter at Brownsburg. Now high snap, pitches over to Sumter Bay, and he takes it over, and he's knocked out of bounds at around the 2, so it'll be fourth and goal for the Bulldogs. I assume they will probably go for it here. Oh, no. Sorry about that. So now, Bulldogs going for it. They have 2 receivers to the left, 1 to the right. Sumter Bay, the running back. Now, Harless turns over to the sidelines. Now goes back in shotgun. 7:53 to go, second quarter. High snap, hands off to Sumter Bay, and he drives forward, and I think he's going to be a yard short. Yes. So great defensive stand by the Orioles after it was first and goal at the 2, and the drive ends at the 1 or 2 at the 2. Yeah, so 4 plays, 0 net yards there after it was first and goal at the 2 for the Bulldogs. So Avon, this very fast-paced game leads 6-0. The only scoring coming 15 seconds into the game on that fumble return for a touchdown on the opening kickoff. So 3 receivers to the left, 1 to the right. And now he's swarmed into the end zone. He's got to be careful so he doesn't get a safety. And he he's got a wide open receiver now on the left side, and he's got room there on the middle of the field. Now he's going to get a big gain, gets past the 50. So that's making something out of nothing there when he was in danger of the safety. He found a receiver wide open, though, so I guess the Avon was so focused on the safety they forgot to cover all the receivers well. So that'll be a gain of exactly 50 yards there. So first and 10 at the Brownsburg 48. Now a handoff there to Browder, scored the touchdown earlier, and he gets around to the left side. So let's see, they give him credit for, looks like they're going to mark it at the 42. That would make it 2nd and 4. Oh, there's a penalty I missed, sorry, so it will be coming back. So Avon will now have the ball at their own 42. First and 21. So 2 receivers now to each side. Steven, the running back. Miller, screen pass, and it is no good. It was intended for intended for, it was intended for Steven. So 6:53 to go here in the in the second quarter. Very fast-paced game, 10:26 your time of day. Second and 21. Miller looks back, scrambles over to the left, and he's got some room to run now. Over to the 45-50, and he's out of bounds close to the first down line. We'll see what kind of spot he gets. If he doesn't have the first down, it will be close. No, I apologize. It wasn't the first down line. It was the original place where they. It was back to the 48, which is where it was 1st and 10 there, and then they had the penalty. So he got basically back what they lost on the penalty. So 3rd and 10 now. Nevertheless, a good keeper there by Mason Miller. Tell you, these are two programs whose varsity, the two programs in the last couple of years have put a quarterback in major college football. Brandon Peters of Avon up at Michigan, and then hold that thought. So 3 receivers to the right, 1 to the left, and now pass downfield. He's wide open, and he makes a diving catch. Did he get it? Yes. Oh man, so I apologize that post obstructed the catch. I apologize profusely for that, but. It was a great catch, trust me. I didn't even catch who made it because I was adjusting the camera, but yeah, it was a big-time catch. So the Orioles now in the red zone, threatening to take a 2-possession lead here. Well, it's part of the. It happens, It happens to the best of people. 2 receivers to the left, 1 to the right. Now a handoff there, I believe that was Steven again, and this time they stop him right around the line of scrimmage. Yeah, that was Steven. But I'll tell you, though, one thing that the other day, I'm a big fan of the Indianapolis 500. I've attended the last 18. And recently I went back and found the YouTube clip of the ABC coverage of the 1992 Indianapolis 500, which is famous for having the closest finish in history between Al Unser Jr., who edged out Scott Goodyear by, I believe, 4/100ths of a second. And the ABC coverage really screwed it up on the finish. Of course, the replays show what a great finish it was, but you didn't see it live. So now fakes the handoff to Steven. Miller takes it himself inside the 10, maybe to the 9 or 8. So it'll bring up about 3rd and 5 or so, nearly midway through the second quarter here. The freshman teams for these two schools will be playing Monday night at Avon. I believe at 6 p.m. I hope you all will get out there for that one. I'll be there bringing you that one. So now the Orioles line up 1 receiver to the left, 3 to the right. Miller takes snap, throws into the end zone, and it's a little miscommunication. He threw to Browder, and looks like each was a little looks like they were just a little bit out of sync with each other, so that'll bring up 4th down and 4 at the 8. So if I don't know what kind of kicking I don't know what kind of kicker the Orioles have, but if they have anybody who can even semi-reliable, because it would only be a 25-yarder from here, and that would put the Orioles up by 2 possessions here, but they are going for it. With 2 receivers to each side, Steven the running back, Miller in shotgun. Hand off to Steven. He's into the end zone for a touchdown. Jarrett Steven, future star. And there's that 2-possession lead I talked about, 12-0 now. And the Orioles will likely go for a 2-point conversion here as they did last time. It failed last time, but it took a little over a quarter and a half for them to get their second score. So their same formation now on the 2-point conversion. Give it to Steven again, and he gets it again. So Jarrett Stephen gets the touchdown and then gets the 2-point conversion. So 8 quick points, and it's a 14-0 Avon lead with 4:42 here to go in the first quarter at Brownsburg. So, great game so far for your Avon Orioles. Sorry about that. I wasn't going for the extreme close-up like on the old Wayne's World episodes. My finger slipped. So now the kickoff. Avon leading 14-0 here, a little over 3/8 of the way through this game. It's a deep kick. And it takes a roll back to the end zone, picked up around the 3, right up to the 5, 10, 15, and brought down short of the 20. Brownsburg's done some good things offensively. They've had a lot of time of possession. They just have not. They've had trouble finishing drives, particularly on the last possession, and what could be fatal to them in this game. They got it all the way to the first and goal at the 2, and then left without any points. That happened in a Plainfield in the Plainfield game with Zionsville in the sectional championship last year, and it was a big factor contributing to the Quakers' 5-point loss to the Eagles. I'll tell you, Plainfield just has had some of the worst playoff luck imaginable over the years, and now it might get worse this year with Cathedral back in their sectional after being demoted from Class 6A. So now, screen pass completed, but it's going to be for a loss of about 1 or 2 yards. That was Christian Roberts, a junior, in on the reception. .352 to go now here in the second quarter. So now a handoff there to Sumter Bay, and they brought him down for a loss. So 2 plays on this drive for Brownsburg, 2 losses. Avon looking very good. They're doing very well this year. And it looks like the program's going to be in good shape for a long time to come. 3rd and 13 now for the Bulldogs. Snap. The quarterback's got plenty of time. He rolls to his right. Screen pass completed, and he gets up. He's got the first down and more up to about the 30. Boy, did the Bulldogs need that play. Otherwise, the Orioles were going to get the ball back with a chance to take a 3-possession lead here in the first half. And remember, the Orioles get the ball first to start the second half, too. So let's see, that was, I believe that was Brett Oliver there on the reception. He's a junior. So now, quarterback fakes the pass, and we got a flag here. He rolls to his right, and he's brought down for a sack, but let's see what the flag is all about. Clock stops, 2:37 to go. Speaking of The Shining, 2:37 reading on the scoreboard right now. So, I'll tell you, dialogue from that movie is part of my daily vocabulary. When my kids are acting up, I always, using my best attempt at a British accent, threaten to correct them. But of course, I don't do it in the way that is intended in the movie, so don't worry about that. But so it's going to be a penalty against Brownsburg will be declined, so it'll bring up second down and about 15. No, about 17. They still waiting for the scoreboard operator. So I've had a lot of really slow scoreboard operators this year in my commentary. Now a throw down the right side. And it is caught. I hope I caught that. Yes, that was Christian Roberts with a big play for the Bulldogs. I'm doing the commentary and the camera tonight, so I'm glad I didn't ruin that catch at least. So that'll be a gain of about 33 yards, or about 40 because they had the loss on the previous play. So one receiver to the left, three to the right now. Sumter Bay, their running back. He gets it. He's got a hole, and it gets up to about the 34. 2:13 to go now in the first half. Brownsburg trying to get its first score. Three receivers to the right, one to the left. Handoff now to Sumter Bay. He takes it up the middle, hits a man, then goes back and pushes forward again. This time gets up just shy of the 30. They'll bring up about 3rd and 4. 1:47 to go now. Both teams still with all 3 timeouts. So that gives you a full range of options. I always talk about the importance of timeout preservation. So now throw down the left side of the field, and under double coverage, the pass was incomplete. I believe Roberts was once again the intended receiver. Bring up 4th down. Likely the Bulldogs will go for it. 1:31 to go in the quarter now. Now a high snap, but he gives it up to Sumter Bay, and he's stopped for a gain of just about 1. So the Orioles take over on downs again. Second consecutive possession on which Brownsburg has turned it over in Avon territory on downs. 1:25 to go. The Orioles with 3 timeouts, as does Brownsburg. Avon gets the ball first to start the second half. And now suddenly the Orioles take a timeout here with, again, 1:25 to go. Fast-paced game, 10:38 your time of day. But I'll tell you, one time when I was commentating a Decatur Central Martinsville baseball game, Martinsville had a player named Lloyd. I think Lloyd Stewart was his name. And between a lot of the pitches, while he was at bat, I talked about Lloyd, the bartender from The Shining. I have an Uncle Lloyd, and my brother's middle name is Lloyd after my Uncle Lloyd, who actually was named after my great-grandfather. But, when I hear the name Lloyd, I think about the bartender in The Shining more than anything else. So now back to action here. 2 receivers to each side for the Orioles. Jarrett Stephen, the running back. Mason Miller, the quarterback. Takes the snap, drops it back, and he throws deep down the left side. It's caught, and he gets out of bounds immediately. So that preserves the timeout. 1:18 to go, so very good start to the drive for the Orioles, trying to take charge of this game. Bulldogs trying to hang on here. Three receivers to the right, one to the left. Steven, the running back. Miller in shotgun. Miller rolls to his right. He could keep it himself. He throws now down to the right side. It's caught by Browder, and he gets out of bounds. So 2 big gains on this drive, and both times the receiver got out of bounds to preserve the clock. 1:11 to go. The Orioles have used only 14 seconds on this drive. They're already knocking on the door of the Reds, so they have it 1st and 10 at the 22 now. Mason Miller, I'll tell you, he's very talented. He's got a great arm, a lot of accuracy, but he's a little small at at 5'10", 145. So they definitely, hopefully he'll grow a few more inches and, bulk up a little bit. He could be a major college prospect, as it is right now. And, well, handoff now, and it's to Steven, and he gets inside the 10, now inside the 5. So it'll be first and goal for the Orioles. Or is it, okay, there's a flag. It looks like it's going to be a face mask against the Orioles, so that will be coming back. 1:04 to go now. Avon still with plenty of time and 2 timeouts. The ball is going to be spotted now at the 29. Snap. Miller drops back. He throws up the middle, and it is caught, and it's a touchdown. So the Orioles take a 3-possession lead here in the last minute of the quarter. That was Sean Lewis, a 6'3", 195-pound junior. So just about everything going right for your Orioles now. That score coming with 54.9 seconds left here in the quarter. That was a 29-yard pass from Miller. And now handoff to Steven, and he takes it in. So Jarrett Steven with his second successful 2-point conversion of the game. So 10 points for Jarrett Steven tonight, this morning. I mean, get so used to commentating games at night, God, I would imagine that it's a real tough adjustment to for these players. I mean, I don't know. It just seems to me it'd be hard to get up for playing a game. I mean, to get yourself, physically ready to play a game this early in the morning. But, it's all part of the learning and growing process. So 22-0, your Orioles having an outstanding game so far. It's a kickoff. It's picked up about the 10, brought up to the 20. Tries to find some space, and he's brought down right around the 25. So the Bulldogs have all 3 timeouts. And amazingly, Avon only used 1 timeout on that drive, and that was on the first play. So the outstanding drive there by the Orioles. 10:44 your time of day now. Two receivers to each side now. One running back. Pass down the left side now, and it is caught there by Roberts. So we've had some great receptions on both sides. It's just that Avon and Brownsburg's had trouble finishing drives. So the Bulldogs still with a solid chance to get some points here in this first half. 31.5 seconds to go. Christian Roberts showing a lot of promise. He looks like he ought to be playing varsity, and I'm sure for most of these teams in the state he would. So now, quarterback, and he's sacked, so they're going to have to use a timeout here. And I believe they already did, so. Braden Davis is now playing quarterback for Brownsburg. He is a 6'2", 165-pound sophomore, also showing a very good arm. 21.8 seconds to go here in the quarter, in the half. I'll tell you, you look at the score and you'd think that it's just been a complete mismatch. But truth be told, Brownsburg has played fairly well. Just that they lost that fumble that was returned for the touchdown, and then they twice turned the ball over on downs in Avon territory, once at the 2, after they had it first and goal at the 2. So, 2 or 3 plays went differently, and they'd be right in this. So 2nd and 16 now. Throw downfield, and it is nearly caught there, but there's a flag, could be pass interference. So let's see what the call is. Okay, I believe it's going to be pass interference, so which is only 15 yards rather than the spot foul that it is in the NFL. But Christian Roberts, having a great game. Certainly, he's the MVP for the Bulldogs so far. 16.2 seconds to go now here in the quarter. And now, throw it into the end zone, and it is incomplete. So 10.4 seconds to go. The Bulldogs still have 2 timeouts, which gives them a full range of options, to work the whole field. 3rd and 1 at the 34. Two receivers to each side now. Now quarterback dodges a couple of sacks. He takes it himself. He's got the first down, but he's going to have to get out of bounds. So, and now the clock stops to move the chains with 9/10 of a second left. So they're going to have to take a timeout because otherwise because the clock will once again start, when the chains are set. So that was a nice job by Harless back in the game at quarterback. So Harless and Davis both, seeing time. Both sophomores, both seeing time at quarterback here in the first half. Pace of the second quarter has been slower as we've had, more passing. I'll tell you, last week at Brown County, the first quarter was over at 7:18. It was incredible. Brown County got the ball in their first possession. They used nearly 7 minutes, all on rushes. I think they never went out of bounds. And 11 of them were to Connor Horning, who wrapped up the drive with a 3-yard touchdown. So now, Brownsburg, last chance to score here in the first half, trailing 22-0. And now, throw into the end zone, and it is incomplete, and I don't see any flags, so head to the locker rooms here at Brownsburg with your Avon Orioles having an outstanding start to this game. They lead the cross-county rival Brownsburg Bulldogs by a score of 22-0 here on AudioSportsOnline.com. We would like to thank our sponsors who made tonight's video broadcast possible: McNamara Florists, Red Cobra Wrestling, Avon Dental Center, and Reynolds Body Shop. Thank you for your support of Avon Oriole Athletics. Well, back here at Brownsburg, we're at halftime of the Sorry, I'm just getting over a cold. But back here at Avon, where we're at halftime in this junior varsity game between your Avon Orioles and the Brownsburg Bulldogs. Avon leading by a score of 22-0. Avon opened the scoring just about as early as possible, especially considering that they kicked off. Brownsburg fumbled the kickoff, and it was returned by Riley Browder for a touchdown. The 2-point conversion failed. Then that was all the scoring until with 4:42 to go in the second quarter. Jarrett Stephen rushed 18 yards. Jarrett Stephen rushed 18 yards for a touchdown, and then Stephen rushed again for a 2-point conversion, making it 14-0. And then with 54.9 seconds to go in the quarter, Mason Miller passed for a touchdown, 29 yards to Sean Lewis, and Stephen once again ran in the 2-point conversion, bringing us to our current score of 22-0. So, Avon playing very well, but it should be noted that Brownsburg has had a lot of good. Brownsburg has done a lot of good things on offense. If they had not fumbled that opening kickoff, which was returned for the touchdown, and if they had not turned the ball over on downs after having it first and goal at the 2, and then after getting it down, I think around the 30 or so, the Avon 30, then this could be a very different game, and it's just another example of the importance of finishing off drives. So right now, actually, I got a little overzealous when I said heading for the locker rooms, because both teams now are actually meeting in the end zones, as I'll show you there. So I've noticed sometimes they don't use the locker rooms here in these JV games. And they're, one thing that's interesting to me, Brownsburg is the Bulldogs, of course, but the middle of the field just says Dogs, and the fronts of the players' jerseys just say Dogs. And the cheerleaders, in their cheers refer to the team simply as the Dogs. So I need to look up to see if there are any sports teams that are simply known as the Dogs, because I know there are a lot of different breeds of dogs that that are the names of various sports teams. Huskies, Salukis. I think it's Albany State who's the Great Danes. And I'll tell you, the University of Southern Illinois Salukis, they have one of the coolest mascots ever. He is super cool, and I don't even like dogs in real life, but I like their mascot. And the thing I don't like about dogs, the animals, is that they I don't like it when they slobber all over me. First of all, then the fact that they're so unpredictable, like that they jump on you so much, and you never know what you get with the dogs. Whereas with cats, they're a lot more laid back and easygoing, so that they fit my personality better. And ironically, I'm 46 years old now. The first movie I ever remember seeing advertised on TV was a movie simply called Dogs. It's a horror movie from 1976. It stars David McCallum, previously from The Man from U.N.C.L.E., and I believe still currently from NCIS. I think he's still on that show, or at least has been in recent years. But anyway, I thought the commercial was really creepy, and I mostly forgot about the movie because it didn't do much at the theaters and was quickly forgotten about and fell into obscurity. But then I was wondering about it, so I looked it up on the internet a few years ago and actually found somebody had uploaded the whole movie to YouTube. So I watched it, and I actually liked it, and ended up buying the DVD. And I was surprised it was even available on DVD, but thankfully it is. With even a making of documentary. It was retrospective, a retrospective. It wasn't made at the time the movie was made. It was made, when it was made specifically for the DVD release. But it's, as low budget horror movies go, it's good. And it's also surprisingly intellectual for a horror movie. A lot of discussion about science in there. So, if you like, low budget horror movies, it's a pretty darn good one. And it's believable for me because I don't like dogs. So the premise, which is simply about dogs, in a community packing and going crazy and attacking people. It's very believable for me. So if you're a big dog lover, it might not be as believable for you. But anyway, you have 4:02 to go here on the halftime clock. 10:55 your time of day. I'll tell you, getting to this game was quite an odyssey for me because they have a part of the parking lot blocked off because of construction. And then, once my broadcast partner Rob Kindle and I got here, the door to the press box was locked, and he had to get somebody, and finally we got in with about 10 minutes, and we had to rush to get my gear set up, and thankfully we finally did, though. So 3:24 to go now here in the halftime, and so I'll tell you, it's been quite a start here to the high school football season here in Indiana. The Hendricks County teams, have all done a lot of good things. Avon, obviously, entering last night's game with a number 8 ranking in Class 6A. Brownsburg, number 15. Brownsburg really, I think it's just like after Brandon Peters graduated from Avon. The Orioles needed, I think, a year to fully get back on track, and I think it's going to be the case with Brownsburg. I think they will be back. I think John Hart is going to have the Bulldogs as a regular top 10 team for a long time. But, after losing a 4-year starter at quarterback, Hunter Johnson, who's now out Clemson, it's an adjustment, and but still obviously a bright future there. And then Plainfield, the 5A team. Number 18 going into their game against Ron Colley, the number 1 team in Class 5A. Plainfield lost last night, but they were expected to lose, so that wasn't such a bad thing. They still have a shot to run the tables in the mid-state conference and make a deep tournament run. The only problem is they have Cathedral in their sectional this year. The Fighting Irish, after 2 straight Class 5A state championships, were forced to move up to Class 6A for 2 years, but didn't have enough tournament success there, so they go back to 5A this year. And I remember a couple of years ago, after the last classification, both Lafayette Central Catholic and Bishop Chatard were demoted after having not enough tournament success. And each won its state championship in its first year back in its old class. So I look for Cathedral to do that again this year. And then, Plainfield, though, with Ben Slayton being maybe the best junior quarterback in the state, he's going to be, I think he will give, Cathedral a challenge at least. And so I don't completely count out the Quakers against the Fighting Irish. I mean, it might, they might have a 1 in 10, 1 in 20 chance to pull off that upset. So, you never know. So it's not hopeless, but certainly it's, we would rather not have to deal with Cathedral. We'd rather have just Arsenal Tech, Decatur Central, and Zionsville in our sectional. We have those 4 teams again. We are in the sectional, but now Cathedral's added to the mix. So then in the lower classes, Tri-West, I didn't see the final score of their game last night, but it looks like they lost most of their main starters from last season to graduation, including at least 4 who are playing college ball now. So they're rebuilding a little bit, but they always they have such a great system. Even if they are a little off this year, they'll be back on track next year, and I have no doubt about it. They do have a new head coach in Tyler Bruce, with Chris Cole having left to try to rebuild the program at Franklin, and we'll see how that goes. That'll be a very interesting, observation there, because Franklin has not had a winning season since 1996, despite being a pretty big school. And usually when a school that big has been that bad for that long, there are some serious foundational problems. But, certainly I wish him well there. And then Danville, outstanding start, 4-0 now, 6th ranked in Class 3A. Looks like they're going to make a run at the Class 3A state championship, as are the Lady Warriors basketball team this season. They got to the semi-state last year with no seniors in the starting lineup. And then finally Cascade, who I've covered on varsity this year for their first 4 games, won their second consecutive game last night after losing their first two very badly to marquee opponents Danville and Monrovia. And the Cadets look like they have a shot to get their first winning season in 4 years. And because Monrovia was promoted to Class 3A and is no longer in the same sectional, Cascade actually might make a decent tournament run. It would not be a huge shock if they did. Of course, a lot depends on the almighty draw. So 10 minutes to go now. They set the clock for the third quarter. Starting the second half at 11:01. Kickoff fielded at the 12, right up to the 15, 20, 25, 30. And, wow, he's a tough kid. He stays on his feet. That's Jalen Love. Little guy at 5'3", 135, but a lot of toughness. Hopefully he'll grow a few more inches. Just like, the Avon quarterback, Mason Miller, like I said, only 5'10", 145. At his current height, probably would not get a lot of major college offers, but if he can grow, I'd like to say, even to 6'1", 6'2", that'll help a lot. So now two receivers to each side. And now Miller walking over, and I think Avon might take a timeout here. Boy, I'll tell you, that is not a time. I mean, granted, Avon does have a 22-0 lead, but I'm a very big advocate of saving your timeouts for the last 2 minutes. So Avon taking a timeout before their first play from scrimmage. And I always say it would drive me up the wall if I were a head coach and we squandered timeouts. So now back to action here. Avon, in firm control of this game, up 22-0. Scored first 15 seconds into the game on a fumble return for a touchdown on the opening kickoff. And now I believe that was Jarrett Stephen again. Yeah, I wonder how many times he's had to correct his last name, or people referring to him as Stevens. I've commentated him enough times now that I get it. So now Stephen lines up to the right, along with Lewis, who got that touchdown there in the first half, and then to the right, we have Love and Browder. Now hand off to Steven. And he fumbles, and Brownsburg's got it. Boy, did that's the kind of break the Bulldogs needed. And now the main thing is, will they capitalize? That brought some life out of this Brownsburg crowd. It's 8:53 to go here in the third quarter. Tell you, like I often say, I'll hold that thought till after this play. Hand off there to Sumter Bay, and he takes it past the 35. He's going to be close to the first down. I'm trying to think, I almost said Hayward Bay. I think that's an NFL player. So I think about Hayward Bay, and then there were the Rogers Cromartie brothers. Trying to think about the great hyphenated names in sports history. Now, hand off now to Sumter Bay again. He's got some room on the right side. He's got the first down and more inside the 30, up to about the 27. There was a time when it was very trendy for female athletes who were married to use both of their maiden and married names, and that seems to have faded out. Usually they just retain their married name professionally. And now hand off, and now it's the pass downfield, and it's caught out of bounds. Um, so that will bring up 2nd and 10, I believe, with 8:05 to go here in the third quarter. I remember Chris Everett for a few years was known as Chris Everett Lloyd. For example, there were other examples of that too. But anyway, so now Brownsburg with the ball. Handoff there to Jones. He's got some room over the left side, inside the 20, inside the 15, out of bounds about the 15. We do have a flag, however. So let's see what the situation with that is. The officials are deliberating now. 7:59 to go here in the third quarter. I'll tell you, if I pause when trying to read the time, it's because with the glare of the sun, it is very hard to decipher at times. I remember one time when I commentated and it's going to be against the Bulldogs. So that run there by Jones will be coming back. I remember my first year commentary 5 years ago, and hold that thought. So 2 receivers to each side now. Harless, screen pass completed to Sumter Bay. He gets down the left side. He's got some room. He's going to be close to the first, inside the 20. He pushes his way forward. He might have the first. Yes, he does, and more, up to about the 15. So great effort with the help of his fellow offensive men who were pushing him forward. They're going to mark it, looks like right about the 15. Yes. So the Bulldogs have just got to get a touchdown here. A field goal really won't do them much good. Now, handoff there by Sumter Bay, and he's inside the 10 up to about the 8. So Brownsburg having moved the ball well so far tonight, but just have not finished drives, and that's why they're in a 22-0 hole, a big part of the reason. The handoff to Harless, gives it to Jones. He's up the middle, inside the 5, close to the goal line. I think he's going to be brought down right at the 1. 7:04 to go now. Now handoff there to a keeper there by Harless. He dives to the end zone. Did he get in? I think he's just shy, like 6 inches or so. So that'll bring up 2nd and goal now. And now handoff there to Jones this time, and he takes it into the end zone for a touchdown. So Brownsburg finally gets their first score here in the third quarter. 6:34 to go on a 1-yard rush by Jones. Boy, did they ever need that. So now let's see what they do. They're going for looks like they're going for the extra point here. Avon has attempted the 2-point conversion on all 3 touchdowns and were successful on 2 of them, both by Jarrett Stephen rushes. So the kick is up, and it is good. No good, excuse me. I apologize. It must have been an optic illusion. I'll tell you, one thing that I've seen so far this season, I've seen very little in the way of quality kicking. So anybody any kids now, if you're wanting to go into football, become a kicker. It's not a glamorous position, but it's one of those things you don't need any great physical skills to do it. Kicking it's far more technique than anything else. I mean, yeah, you're gonna have to build up your leg and all that, but just about anybody who works hard enough can be a good kicker. And as much as so many high schools are lacking it, I mean, you can really be a valuable asset. I mean, like, for example, I'm covering Cascade, and one big problem they have is they don't have the luxury of going for a field goal from, really beyond about 25 yards. I mean, last week their kicker, who's a converted free safety, Noah Mowry, actually actually had 8 interceptions to tie for the state lead last year. But I mean, he misses about a third of his extra points, and then last week hit the right upright and was no good on a 25-yard field goal attempt. So, if any of you listening to me, any of you kids, if you can even get a range out to 40 yards, which is not that hard to do. I mean, it takes dedication and practice for several years, but it's very doable. If you can do that, you're probably going to have a place on a team and be relied upon a lot in tough situations. So now Brownsburg will be starting the drive at the around the 28 or so, I think. Because sometimes not having an adequate place kicker can cost you a game. I mean, I remember back in 2013, Plainfield started the season as a legitimate contender for the Class 4A state championship, and they had a few injuries. One of the biggest, probably the biggest, was to their star running back Josh Miller, who's now at Ball State. But another one was to their kicker Morgan Hagee, who's now at Ball State and is one of the top kickers in college football right now as a junior. His younger brother John is also a freshman at the school. And now fakes the handoff there, and Miller is driven out of bounds after a short gain. I think he got about 5 there. So nice job by Miller getting some positive yardage there. Avon leading 22-6. And by the way, that extra point miss is big because that means that even if Brownsburg does get 2 more touchdowns, they would need 2 successful 2-point conversions to tie. I'll tell you one video that I recommend to all you kids who want to go into place kicking. Hold that thought. So 2 receivers to the left, 2 to the right. And now, Miller, he, while receiving the snap shotgun, he bumped into to Browder there, and just, there's nothing to do but fall on it. Because that would have been a disaster had, Brownsburg recovered there with a chance to make it a one-possession game here. So now we now we got a whistle here. Under 5 minutes, though, of the third quarter. 11:13 your time of day. So now, let's see. Got 2 receivers to the right, 1 to the left. Steven, the running back. Miller in shotgun. Miller takes it. He's in danger, and he throws a screen pass, and the player wasn't looking. Now we got a late flag, so let's see what that's all about. But all you aspiring place kickers, look online for a video called "The Art of Soccer-Style Kicking" by Jan Stenerud. That's Jan, the name spelled Jan, like Jan. Last name Stenerud. He was the first kicker inducted into the Hall of Fame who did not play another position other than kicker. And he has this great instructional video on just the basics. It's very short, only about 12 minutes, and but a lot of great information on there. And keep in mind, he did not play American. He was from Norway, and he did not play American football until he was in college, attending Montana State. And he kicked the ball soccer style, which previously players would kick with the toe of the shoe. And he, having no history in American football, but having played soccer as a youth, he kicked soccer style, and and now that's what kickers generally use here in American football. So, yeah, it's teams need kickers, and there's a big shortage of them here in Indiana right now. On just about every team I've commentated this season. All right, so back to action here. So Avon to punt. It was nearly blocked, and the fair catch called for and taken at the 43. So Brownsburg getting the ball back in good field position, starting to seize a little momentum here. They still don't have much margin for error. They have 4:28 to go here in the third quarter. They got to get 2 touchdowns and 2 successful 2-point conversions. So now, Brownsburg, a keeper there, and he gets maybe about 2 yards up the middle. That was a direct snap to R.J. Decker. And, well, he's a senior, though. They don't normally play seniors on JV. I didn't even realize it was allowed, in fact. So maybe they have a number change here, which happens quite often to my annoyance as a commentator. Nevertheless, second and 8. And now handoff there, and he's got some room on the right side, and he gets up to about the 50. That was Sumter Bay again. That'll bring up third and about 3. Now they got it marked right at the 50. Big third down for the Bulldogs here, although they probably would go for it on 4th. Handoff. And now he gives it to, I believe that's Sumter Bay again. He's going to be, I think, a yard short of the first. Yeah, that was Sumter Bay again. No, they did give him credit for the first. So he got a slightly better spot than I expected. So 3:11 to go now, and the clock stopped to move the chains. Now the Bulldogs all were looking to the sideline, apparently getting some instructions from the coaching staff. 2 receivers to each side. And they got a fumble on the snap, and it's a big loss. Brownsburg did recover, but they lost about 10 yards out of it. Bad break for the Bulldogs now as the clock down to 2:45 here in the third quarter. They're down by 16 points. So 2nd and 21, that was an 11-yard loss there. Now Harless gets the ball. They go to the air, throws deep down the right side, but it's and there's a flag there. Could be pass interference, but the receiver had already stepped out of bounds, so he was no longer eligible to receive that pass. So let's see what the call is here. So it's going to 15 yards, so I guess it was pass interference against the Orioles, which, I don't know, because that would be a pass interference, I believe, is an automatic first down. Nevertheless, a big break for the Bulldogs after having that 11-yard loss. Now they get 15 yards back, bringing up 2nd and 6, a lot better than 2nd and 21. So now, handoff there to Jones. He's got the first down and more inside the 35. So the Bulldogs starting to hit their stride. It might be too little, too late. We'll see. They got the ball marked at the 35 now. Devin Jones, who's got their only points of the game so far, on that rush there. 2 receivers to the right, 1 to the left. Jones and that running back. High snap, and they get it to Jones. He's got some room on the right side. Now finds a hole. He's got another first down. Breaks inside to the 20. Still up and down to the 15. So outstanding 2nd and 3rd effort there by Devin Jones, and he's got the Bulldogs back in the red zone. So 1:55 to go now here in the third quarter. Avon leading 22-6. 2 receivers to the right, 1 to the left. High snap, gives it to Jones again. He's got a hole up in the middle, and he gets up for about 4. Crowd becoming more lively now. between the two schools, who probably have somewhere in the neighborhood of probably 250 to 300 fans, including got about maybe 75 fans who made the trip over from Avon. So now a handoff to Jones again, and he breaks through inside to the 10. He's going to be close to the first down line, down at about the 6. It'll be about 3rd and 1. 1:13 to go now in the third quarter. So now Jones comes out and is replaced by Sumter Bay. Let's see if Sumter Bay does as well on the ground. Hand off to Sumter Bay. They're ready for him, and he's brought down right around the line of scrimmage. Under a minute to go now in the quarter. Brownsburg again needs 2 touchdowns and 2 successful 2-point conversions. So moving on the line. And it looked like the quarterback was actually asking for the flag, didn't get one. They better get in motion here. Handoff now to Sumter Bay, and he gets inside the 5 up to about the 4 with 20 seconds to go in the quarter, so they'll likely... Well, they do get the first down. So the clock stops with 20.6 seconds to go. However, when it is reset, the Bulldogs will not have to run another play, but it might be wise for them to do so because, time is crucial right now. So now handoff. Now fakes the handoff. Harless throws. He's got a man open. He dives to the end zone, and he's in. So now this very important 2-point conversion. That was Sumter Bay there on the reception from 4 yards. Now it's a very important conversion here because if they don't get this 2-point conversion, if it's not successful, then it'll still be a 2-possession deficit. But they do get it. Devin Jones runs it in easily. So we got a 1-possession game here at Avon. 14-0. The margin is in this quarter in favor of Brownsburg. So it looks like we're going to have a barn burner of a fourth quarter coming up. Nice job by the Bulldogs, maintaining their poise when they were down 22-0. Well, it's a beautiful day here. We've had, except for last week when we had that rain fest down when Cascade played at Brown County. I don't know how the local games were. We had rain from start to finish in that game last week. Other than that, we've had some really nice weather so far, and it's expected to have nice weather next Friday with a high projected at 80 under partly cloudy sky. For the Week 5 games, next Friday will be the midway point of the regular season. Oh, and Browder bobbles the snap, and he's brought down at the 15. Oh, we got for a late hit, though. Boy, that was a bad fundamental play there by the Bulldogs. They had Avon down in, bad field position, and now apparently gave him 15 free yards. .5 seconds to go here in the third quarter. So the ball going from the 15 to the 30 now after that penalty against the Bulldogs. So 2 receivers to the right, 1 to the left. A handoff now. And so good start to the drive. He gets up. Steven gets almost enough for the first down. They give him credit for 8 there. And that brings us to the end of the fourth quarter. So your Avon Orioles being pressed harder than expected, but they're only 10 minutes away from victory. They lead the cross-county rival Brownsburg Bulldogs by a score of 22-14 here on audiosportsonline.com. We would like to thank our sponsors who made tonight's video broadcast possible. McNamara Florists, Red Cobra Wrestling, Avon Dental Center, and Riddles Body Shop. Thank you for your support of Avon Orioles Athletics. Well, back here at Brownsburg, we're about to start the fourth quarter with your Avon Orioles leading the Brownsburg Bulldogs by a score of 22-14. It's been a wild and woolly game that started off like Avon was going to run away with it, but surge by the Bulldogs in the third quarter has them within one possession. It was 22-0 at the half. The Bulldogs came through with 14 points there in the third quarter. Now Avon has the ball. And one score would go, even a field goal would go a long way toward, clinching this for them. Two receivers to the right, 1 to the left. Handoff there to Steven, and he's got the first down and a little more. It's just had a sudden gust of wind here, so unfortunately my papers weren't blown around too badly. So now 9:45 to go here in the third quarter, or fourth quarter, excuse me. Steven picking up 5 on that one. He has a touchdown and 2 successful 2-point conversions tonight, accounting for 10 of his team's 22 points. Now a handoff there to Browder, but he's running out of space, and he's brought down for a loss. Big play for the Brownsburg defense. That'll be a 6-yard loss there by Riley Browder, who scored the first touchdown of the game on that fumble return on the kickoff. That'll be about a 6-yard loss there, or 7-yard loss. He's marked down at the 36. 9:11 to go and counting. And now a handoff there to Steven, and he gets about 5 yards back, but that's going to bring up 3rd and long. But the clock does keep ticking, 8:43 to go and counting. Orioles huddling, taking their time. Probably, conscious about trying to milk as much of the clock as they can on this drive. Three receivers to the left now, 1 to the right. Now deep pass down the right sideline, and it's just slightly overthrown. The intended receiver was Cohen Morrell. So 4th and 13 now with 8:04 to go. Brownsburg apparently about to get the ball back on a punt. Avon clinging to a 22-14 lead. Here's the punt, and it's a short punt. It bounces, it goes out of bounds around the 34-35. So Brownsburg will get the ball in fairly good field position here. Avon led 22-0 at the half. Brownsburg's cut it to 22-14. They will tie here with a touchdown and a successful 2-point conversions, taking over at their own 34. Avon won the varsity game between these two schools last night. Freshman teams to play Monday evening. Now a handoff there to Jones, and he's up for about 3 or 4 yards. Devin Jones in this game has a touchdown and a successful two-point conversion. 7:45 to go and counting. High snap, but he gets it to Jones, who's got some room now over to the left side, breaks a tackle down to the 45, 50, 45, up to about the 43. This crowd now really getting into it. They've been subdued for a lot of the game, but they've had a lot to cheer about here in the second half. So 7:34 to go. The clock stops to move the chains now. Two receivers to the right, one to the left. And now Sumter Bay back in. No, Jones still in at running back. They give it to him, and he gets up for about 4. 7:25 to go now. He's up to about the 39. .706 to go. Christian Roberts lined up to the left. He's had a couple of big catches tonight. Now handoff there to Jones, and he gets up for about 2. That'll bring up third down in about 3 or 4. 6:50 to go. 11:32 your time of day. Looks like this game will be done well before 12. Now a handoff there. I believe that was... And we got a player slow to get up here. He did not get the first down nevertheless. A player down, he is moving his arms and his legs. Hopefully this is nothing serious. He's being attended to now. 6:25 to go. The clock stopped. After 39 years of watching football, one thing that whenever I see a player lying on the field injured, the first thing I look for is whether his arms and legs are moving or not, and I'm always relieved when they are. .625 to go. Now the player is sitting up now. Now starting to stand up. Now does stand up. And is groggily walking off of the field on his own power. Getting a nice ovation from this crowd. The injured player for Brownsburg is number 75, Brandon Griffin. He is a junior. As he was walking off the field, he got a pat of support from Quentin Wallace, his teammate. And now we've got a whistle. We got a flag here before the snap. Yeah, Wallace basically patted Griffin on the chest and just seemed to just wish him well. So 2 receivers to each side. Jones, the running back. Takes snap, throws deep down the left side, and it is knocked away. Roberts, I believe, was... Yeah, Roberts was the intended receiver. So the Bulldogs turn it over on down, 6:06 to go. Sorry, I'm getting over a cold. Thankfully, my voice held up for that Cascade Cloverdale game last night and has so far for this game. And I'm going to try not to talk much the next couple of days because I got the freshman game Monday night between these two schools out at Avon. Hope to see you all there. So now 2 receivers to the right, 1 to the left. Steven, the running back, Miller in shotgun. Steven gets it And he's up to right around the 45, about a gain of about 3. Very important drive for the Brownsburg defense. They've got to, really they have to be aiming at, if not a turnover, at least a 3 and out. They hand off to Steven again. He's got the first down, though, and he's past the 50 up to about the 46. So that's going to that doesn't seal it by any means, but it certainly is a big step in that direction. They marked it at the 45 now of Brownsburg. 5:16 to go. 11:36 your time of day. Two receivers to each side. Steven, the running back. Miller in shotgun. Now fakes the handoff. Miller takes it himself over to the left side, but he's brought down for a loss. Big play for the Brownsburg defense. That'll bring up second and about 12 or 13. Under half a quarter to go now. 4:47 and counting. So they got Miller for a 3-yard loss there. The play clock just starting. So I said shot clock. I know basketball isn't quite with us yet. So now two receivers to each side. 4:11 to go. Or excuse me, 4:17, sorry. And now a handoff to Steven. This time he breaks a tackle, but then gets up for only about 2 yards, so it'll be third and long. So 4:06 to go now. Brownsburg just needs one more stop here to get the ball back. 3:56 and counting now. 20 on the play clock. Three receivers to the right, one to the left. Miller in shotgun. I think he's been in shotgun the whole game. Drops back. And he's running it himself. He's got room down to the 40, 35. He's got the first down over to the 30, up to about the 27. He's finally tackled. And that's going to go a long way towards sealing it as the clock stops to move the chains with 3:26 to go. Avon now firmly in control of this game. And we got a late flag here, several seconds after the play was over. Let's see what that's about. It is going to be against Avon. So big break for the Bulldogs. So it's going to be marked back to the 40, 43. So apparently, I guess there was a late hit or something after the play, because it does not affect the outcome of the play. It just, turns first and 10 into first and 10 to first and 25. But nevertheless, with 3:20 to go and counting, Avon is going to have a great chance to milk a lot of the remaining clock here, so that if Brownsburg does get the ball back, it will not be. And then the Orioles take a timeout. That is their second. So 3:17, 3:11. I'm sorry, it's very hard to decipher, to discern the sevens from the ones on the scoreboard in these lighting conditions. But I remember back during my first year of commentary, I went down to Martinsville for the Decatur Central Martinsville game, and it was lightning postponed for the day, with a few seconds to go in the second quarter, and then the game was resumed the next day. And I went down there for the resumption, and I had a very hard time reading the scoreboard for that one, as well as deciphering the Decatur Central players' numbers, because of the way that the color scheme responded to the sunlight. So now, 1st and 25 at the 43. Brownsburg needs a stop here because Avon can run out a lot of the clock even without getting first down. Now Steven gets the ball, and he gets a gain of about 10 yards there. 3:04 to go now. It'll be about 2nd and 15. So now with Browns, even if Brownsburg does get the ball back, they will not have a lot of time. They do have all 3 timeouts. That's one good thing. 17 on the play clock. Two receivers to each side now. Steven, the running back. Miller gives it to Steven. But this time he stopped for a gain of just about 1 or 2, bringing up 3rd and long. Well, I'll tell you, I've had some really slow scoreboard operators this year, including for this game today. And it does make my job harder. So, kids, I was talking to you earlier about, work on being a kicker because there will be a job for you. Work on being a scoreboard operator too, because we definitely could use a lot of improvement at a lot of these stadiums in that area. Probably don't get paid. You probably don't get paid much for it, but hey, you get to see these exciting games for free, just like me as a commentator. I do get paid to commentate, but not a lot of money. But even so, I'd do it for free just because I love these games so much. Getting paid to watch football and talk about it is like stealing money. It's one of my favorite things to do in life. So 3rd and 13 to go. The clock stopped with 2:23 to go. Brownsburg took their first time out, by the way, trying to preserve the clock. They need to stop here, and then one on 4th down if the Orioles go for it on 4th down, which they likely would. So now a pass up the middle. It's completed. It's going to be about 5 yards short of the first down. Bringing up 4th down on about 5. That was a reception there by Janon Sanusi. I remember him from the freshman broadcast last year. And now Brownsburg takes their second time out, stopping the clock with 2:15 to go. So now the game hinges on this play here, this 4th down. If Avon gets the first down, they will be able to run out the rest of the clock, or at least very close to it. However, if Avon does not get the first down, Brownsburg, will have about 2 minutes, but only 1 timeout. So, this is the play of the game for the Brownsburg defense here. 2:15 to go. They're 4th and 6 at the 24 for Avon. Two receivers to each side. Steven, the running back, Miller in shotgun. Gives it to Steven, but they're ready for him. They're on top of him. They stop him dead in his tracks, so Brownsburg will take over. 2:11 to go for the Bulldogs. They need a touchdown and a successful 2-point conversion. 2 minutes, 11 seconds, and 1 timeout. And they're going to have to go about 75 yards. Well, I'll tell you, even though this is only JV, this is a great situation for these Brownsburg kids to be in. In a do or die drive like this. It's great to give them that kind of experience. So now, Harless throws up the middle, and it's caught for a gain of about 23 yards there. So great start to the drive. The clock will stop to move the chains. The Bulldogs hurry up to get in motion. I believe that was Reese Thomas there. So 2 receivers to each side now. I know we got the play whistled dead here with 2:01 to go. Ball at the Brownsburg 49. I'm not sure what the why the clock was why the referees whistled the play dead. But anyway, so Harless, screen pass, it is caught. He stays in bounds. He could have gotten out of bounds. He fumbles. Brownsburg did get it, but they're going to have to, no. I'm confused at who has the ball. Okay, Brownsburg does have it, but the clock keeps ticking, so that was pretty well a squandered play as they gained only 2 when they could have gotten out of bounds. And now a screen pass out of bounds thrown. A little miscommunication, it looks like. So that'll bring up 3rd and 8. So after a great start to the drive, suddenly the Bulldogs with a couple of bad plays there. So Avon's 2 plays away from clinching this one. Bulldogs need something here. 3rd and 8. Pass up the middle. It is, dropped. I'll tell you, Cloverdale shot itself in the foot last night with several dropped passes. And now the player's slow to get up, but he is getting up. And appears to be just a little shaken, but okay. So 4th and 8. The game hinges on this play for the Bulldogs. Avon will be able to kneel out the clock if Brownsburg does not get this first down here. Nevertheless, a great comeback effort by the Bulldogs. 3 receivers to the left, 1 to the right, 1 running back. Quarterback in shotgun. Some movement on the line. No flag, though. 5 on the play clock. They better hurry. Takes the snap. Rolls to his left. Throws. And he's got... did he make the catch? No. He bobbled it. Oh, he pounded his fist in agony on the ground, knowing he should have had it. And now Avon will be able to run out the clock. 1:18 to go now. And it would have been for the first down, too. He bobbled it 3 or 4 times, and I couldn't tell from my vantage point if it ever hit the ground or not, but the referee ruled that it did. So, a valiant comeback effort falls short for the Bulldogs now with 1:18 to go. Brownsburg only 1 timeout. Avon will be able to kneel out the rest of the clock. Although Miller's standing there in shotgun, so... Now Miller throws deep, and it's incomplete, though. I'm not sure what Avon's trying to do here. And now the coach is on the field. It looks like there's a pretty animated discussion there between Miller and the coach. I have no idea what Avon would expect to gain by throwing deep like that, because that stops the clock. And with 1:01 to go, so now if Brownsburg gets a quick timeout here, then they still might get the ball back. And now again they lined up 2 receivers to each side. This time they give it to Steven, and he's brought down for about 3, and Brownsburg immediately takes their last time out with 56.8 seconds to go, so that'll bring up 3rd down. Avon might be able to kneel it out from here, but still, that was just... I don't know what they were thinking on that throwing deep. I mean, I don't see anything that could be gained from that. But I'll tell you, if Brownsburg, this game, Avon, they did overall play pretty well today, but Brownsburg beat themselves as much as they were beaten by Avon. So 56.8 seconds to go. Avon leading 22-14 has the ball. 3rd and 7 at the Brownsburg 48. Brownsburg just used its last time out. The Orioles break huddle. They are not in kneel-down formation. I don't know what they're thinking. Maybe they're thinking this is just a JV game. Let's try to get some practice in. But 3 receivers to the left, 1 to the right. We got movement at the line now. and officials are deliberating. And it's against the Orioles, so they're going to back it up. So it's a head scratcher for me, but as far as what Avon's strategy is right here, but we'll see. Third and 12 at the Avon 47. Lining up with 3 receivers to the right, 1 to the left. Really prolonging the end of this game. Miller drops back to pass now. He rolls to his left now, and they tackle him with 48 seconds to go. That'll bring up 4th down. However, it looks like they will not have to run another play. .30 seconds now. Oh, yes, they will have to run another play. So Brownsburg might get one last chance here. So Avon's a really odd strategy here rather than just kneeling out the clock. So they're back to punt now. And now the Orioles take what I believe is their last time out to avoid the delay of game penalty. So now, of course, what they could do here, and I've seen this done before on a very few occasions over the years, when a team is trying to run out the ball, trying to run out the clock with only a few seconds left, and is down to 4th down, will run back and give up the safety, and try to run out the rest of the clock in doing so. But if Avon had simply knelt, the game would have been over a few minutes ago. So we'll see what happens here. 11:52 your time of day. And again, maybe, Avon figures, they just, it's only JV. It's not a huge deal if you lose, so let's just get some more game practice. I don't know. So now it looks like Mason... and now Miller taking some instructions from one of the coaches. 7.4 seconds to go. This could be the last play of the game. No, he punts it, so Brownsburg will get one more chance. And he bobbles the reception, but he brings it down the field. And we got a flag here, and a helmet came off. Now, a game or half cannot end on a defensive penalty. So if this is against Avon, there will be at least one more play. It would be an untimed down. And if it's against Brownsburg, then I guess the game will be over. But definitely a bizarre finish here. Avon looking like they're trying to form a handshake line, but the officials are deliberating. Brownsburg, a couple of members of the Brownsburg staff now several members are out on the field, apparently inquiring about the situation. But now the Bulldogs are forming a handshake line as well, so I do not know what the heck is going on here. Well, now the officials look like they're leaving the field. No, they're still having discussions with some of the Brownsburg staff as the players are shaking hands. So, bizarre finish here in Avon. I will stay here with you until I am 100% certain that the game is over. It's been a bizarre one now. 11:55 your time of day. And some of the discussion is still going on between the Brownsburg staff and the officials. It doesn't appear to be heated, but it does appear to be deep. So now the officials leaving the field. So, okay, I'm going to assume the game is over here. So your final score here tonight at Brownsburg, your Avon Orioles start strong, then hang on for a 22-14 victory over the host Brownsburg Bulldogs. We'll be back with a recap after some final words from our sponsors here on audiosportsonline.com. We would like to thank our sponsors who made tonight's video broadcast possible: McNamara Florists, Red Cobra Wrestling, Avon Dental Center, Reynolds Body Shop. Thank you for your support of Avon Oriole Athletics. Well, back here at Brownsburg for a final time today, where your Avon Orioles have beaten the host Brownsburg Bulldogs 22-14 in junior varsity football action. It got off to one of the most bizarre starts that I've ever seen. When Brownsburg was returning the opening kickoff, their player fumbled. It was recovered by Riley Browder of Avon, who returned it for a touchdown. The Orioles failed on the two-point conversion, making it a score of 6-0. Then there was no scoring for a little over a quarter and a half of play until, with 4:42 to go in the second quarter, Jarrett Stevens rushed for a touchdown and then rushed in for the two-point conversion, making the score 14-0. Then, with 54.9 seconds to go in the quarter, Mason Miller passed to Sean Lewis for a 29-yard touchdown pass, and Steven again rushed in the extra point, making it 22-0. However, Brownsburg made a game out of it in the second half. In the third quarter, Devin Jones scored a touchdown on a 1-yard rush. Then the extra point, the PAT attempt was no good, making the score 22-6. And finally, with 13.2 seconds to go in the third quarter, Ian Harless threw a 4-yard touchdown pass to, Ethan Harless. Ethan Harless threw a 4-yard touchdown pass to Shy Sumter Bay, and Devin Jones rushed in the two-point conversion, bringing us to our final score of 22-14. Although it should be noted that Brownsburg twice turned the ball over on downs in the first half, once at the Avon 2 after having it first and goal at the 2, and then the other time at about the 30. And then Avon, when they had a chance to kneel out the clock, they actually went for a passing play and a couple of rushes in which they attempted to gain positive yards, and did have minor gains both times, and then ended up punting, and the game ended on a punt return that in which the player for Brownsburg was tackled without gaining much yardage. So definitely one to remember, and shows that both of these programs have a bright future. Saw a lot of great talent tonight. Two very strong quality quarterbacks, several strong quality running backs, and looks like these programs are going to be here in the top 10 in Class 6A consistently for a long time, and that this will continue to be one of the best rivalries in the state. So this concludes our broadcast. As always, thank you so much for joining me, and I cordially invite you to do so again Monday at 5:50 p.m. as the freshman teams from these two schools play. Until then, for Audio Sports Online, this is Lec Zorn. Good night.